is a pain in the butt. You hit your ball in the trees and then you lip out the putt. But if you've got a little time, then come and spend it with us. 'Cause now you're listening to the Rough Cut.
Hello, 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 and welcome down to yet another episode of the Rough Cut Golf Podcast. And you join us in the absolutely stunning surroundings of the Dye Room at the Dye Preserve in Florida, US of A. And we were meant to be playing this fantastic golf course today, but we are currently cowering inside as a tropical rainstorm rages in the in the swamps and the streams of the Dye Preserve. So, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get out and play, but we thought we'd take advantage of sitting in this marvellous room and do the next podcast. Gentlemen, how are we? Are we suitably relaxed?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty comfy on this sofa, I must say. Slightly disappointed that we didn't get out to play. The course looks amazing, looks incredible, but it's nice to find some solitude, find some space, some warm, dry space in this colonial sort of woodwork clubhouse they've got here.
I would say that this is my favourite place you've ever filmed the podcast. It was at Royal Dornoch. That was not Royal Dornoch, but in the town of Dornoch. That was my second favourite, or was my previous favourite. But now this has taken second place. Oh, sorry, now this has taken first place.
Yeah, it's quite the spot we've got here, I must say. The only thing we need kind of for the aesthetic now is like a big fire burning and just having a little very sort of Hunter's Lodge-esque.
The wood's ready to go, but...
Yeah, I would say that might just be
it's just for
decorative.
Just for show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those little silver birch trunks there haven't seen a lick of flame since they were chopped down. If you are listening to us on the Rough Cut Golf Podcast and you haven't watched one, please hop over to our YouTube and give it a subscribe. Just type in the Rough Cut Golf Podcast, and that is where you will find us. And there's a few things to talk about this week, but I think we should probably end up with our end of the trip. Like, we've been here for 10 days in Florida. We've filmed some pretty cool stuff. What's been the highlights?
What's been the highlights? Wow. It's been, as I always think when we come on these long trips over a week, that they feel like they are a long time, but actually it's gone so quick that I've almost kind of forgotten what we've done. But I'd say probably... I even though we might get onto it a little bit, I really did enjoy playing at PGA National and the match against Micah, just to go to a course that has held a PGA Tour event and kind of see the setup of that course. To be honest with you, it's just spending time with these guys because they're so nice, they're so down to earth, they're so welcoming of them, and they're looking after us since we've been here. So just being able to hang out with Micah and Grant and their prospective families and friends and all that kind of stuff, and videographers and everyone that we've met on the trip it's been really, really nice.
Yeah, it's nice to meet a little bit more of the YouTube golf community
Yeah, 100%.
that we've not spent kind of really much time with before. I mean, we played with kind of Micah about a year ago in St Andrews, but this is the first time we've seen him since that. First time we played with Grant. First time we've met Grant as well. So, yeah.
You met Grant in Scottsdale.
In Scottsdale, well, that was very much a passing hello.
Yeah.
How you doing? Let's not try and poo ourselves in front of 20,000 people. That wasn't a full on get to know you session.
Yeah.
So
I was quite under the impression that I was going to be liking the PGA National as well, because obviously like the Honda Classic is there. Like, I vividly remember Rory McIlroy holding a putt when it was like Titleist Rory as well. And him holding a putt to win and also become the world number one golfer. And that was quite a surreal moment. But that wasn't my favourite course. My favourite course was the park by quite a way. I don't know why, but just the whole vibe of the area, the whole vibe of the clubhouse. Like, they're kind of going for this open golf, turn up in what you want. It doesn't matter who you are, like everyone can play golf, sort of thing, and I absolutely love that. But it was very rainy that day. But no, we played. It was a good day. That.
Well, I say it was rainy for like an hour.
Yes,
but it was proper rain.
Oh,
we've seen today how rainy it really can be.
Yeah. Like, we were saying this before, that like Florida doesn't do halves. Like,
oh no.
In rain, like. There's no sort of spitting in like we get in the UK and stuff like that. It is full blown.
Yeah. If it's raining, it's raining.
Bucketing it down.
I mean, we're as Brits, we are experts at differentiating different types of rain. Of course, it's like a national pastime, and
I think
we
I did it
often,
in school actually.
yeah,
as a
yeah,
subject.
it's a subject. Yeah. And we often say that there's types of rain that get you soaked through. What we experience for the park at an hour and what is going on right now is the kind of rain that could drown you standing up.
Yeah.
So that was kind of how heavy it was. However, I think you're right. I mean, the park itself was something which was very unique. Like, we never really played on course like that before. I don't think I've played a Jill Hans design before either. So it was just a beautiful little spot, and the whole vibe of the place was really cool. And it does help that we filmed a banger of a video. So,
Yes,
yeah.
it does help. Do you know any other like cool? I'd never heard of this designer before, but is he like
Jill Hans?
Yeah, is he like a?
He does that kind of design.
He's a renowned sort of.
Yeah.
Right.
So big, wide fairways, angles into greens, kind of wasteland bunkers.
Yeah.
Very kind of stunning to look at.
Right. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. No,
So
that's
yeah,
very
it
nice.
was. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that was one of my favourites. Like Jupiter Country Club, I really liked as well.
That's true. Yeah.
PJ National. PJ National was weird because it's the toughest course on the PJ Tour. So, like, statistically, it's the toughest course on the PJ Tour, and we played it pretty much off the backs.
Yeah.
Maybe the slight issue with it was like the rough, because they cut it down a little bit, so it wasn't full on PJ Tour toughness. So in that respect, it was kind of like you go to a course which has a really fierce reputation, which is like, oh my God, we are going to get absolutely destroyed. And then when you go out and actually play some nice golf, it's kind of like, well, where's the real teeth?
Yeah, definitely. I would love to know the difference between how, like, it's not necessarily the thickness, but probably the length of the rough. You know what I mean? I reckon it was only a couple of inches the rough that we played, but what's it going to be like on the PJ Tour?
I mean, the main difference is going to be just the real thickness of that rough. They'll obviously bring the fairways in a lot, and the fact that there's going to be millions of dollars on the line. I mean, that kind of does ramp up the pressure a little bit. Not that I'm saying the match that we played against Micah wasn't the same amount of pressure.
Yeah.
But I would say that maybe there was, maybe slightly less on it. And we've still not seen an alligator.
Oh,
And we won't. I don't think.
Don't even get me on that. That's really annoying me. The fact that Mia Baker's come here for 48 hours and she's already seen one at PJ National.
Yeah.
Like, but we did see one today, kind of in the toilet.
Well, that's the trophy gator.
Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty impressive gator there.
Do you reckon that is like was an actual?
Yeah.
You actually reckon?
Yeah.
You reckon it was?
Yeah. Do you not feel touch it?
Yeah. But I instead of touching that, I kind of like looked. I like moved it and like wanted to look the other side, whether it's just skin or whatever it is. But
It's just, I think it's been attached onto some kind of mesh or
It's
something.
like a
to
float.
Yeah.
it's
No,
not-
it's legit.
yeah. Wow. Okay.
There you
So
go.
you have seen one, but just
That's
not
a-
alive.
That's a big one.
Yes,
That's a big one. If you met that on the course, you'd be worried. You'd be
Yeah,
a little
I'll
bit
be a
concerned.
bit scared. Yeah.
So it's been overall just really cool. I think probably that we used Cape Club of Palm City for a base for quite a bit of the trip as well, which was a course I never heard of before. It's kind of recently been renovated, and I think that's a cracking place to kind of really base ourselves as well. So everywhere that we've been to has just been so accommodating and so friendly, and the conditioning of the course and obviously the weather generally has been absolutely perfect. Like, to be able to step out of the house every day and know you're going to wear shorts, no matter if it is raining, is quite a nice benefit, I would say.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you on that. I think we've only really had the final round at the Cape Club with Micah doing the scramble. That was pretty severe.
Oh, yeah, that
and then
was,
obviously
yeah.
this morning, I don't really know what my takeaway is, to be honest, because like I think throughout most of the week it was that kind of mindset of like, oh well, it really doesn't matter. It's always going to be sunny. We just like walk outside. But now I'm kind of thinking, have we been like really lucky in like the amount of rain that we've seen in the last couple of days? Like this could have happened throughout the trip and been a bit more like spotty and patchy in places that kind of messed it up a bit.
Well, I think last week they were saying they had like 8 inches of rain within 1 week, and that was there before we came, and that's why some of the courses were like just by pick and place and carts path only. So maybe we did get away with it slightly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the courses were they weren't damp, but like the balls were plugging, weren't they? Like when Micah was driving it 390 yards, he was just flying at 390 and plugging. So it was like,
it was going a long way. But it was
way.
All the courses were great. The Cape Club. It was interesting that even Micah and Grant, who live here, hadn't really heard of it either, and they've sort of been introduced to a new spot thanks to us, obviously. But
you're welcome.
Yeah,
but there's so many courses around here.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Like within an hour of where we were staying, there was literally about 100 golf courses.
Yeah, which is kind of like it's so I don't know what the word is, like it'll come to me, but like saturated, or like it's all on top of each other. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
and there are a lot right next to each other. I think maybe the only difference is over here. There's like the Dye Preserve where we're at today. We were meant to be filming with kind of tour pros, meant to be getting out on the course as well, playing the full round, but it was very much kind of invite only. This is not the type of place that you can just rock up to.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of places in Florida, in kind of where we're staying around Jupiter, which are like that. Very expensive to join, very expensive to play, but amazing facilities. Like the park is the outlier there, where it's a public course, anybody can turn up. So the difference between a public and a private course in the US compared to the UK is pretty different.
Yeah. It's severe, isn't it? Like, it's
a bit weird. Like a private course in the UK, most of them, as long as you like call up the pro shop and ask, when do you take visitors, you can just turn up, pay green fee and play.
Yeah.
So, but you cannot phone up the Dye Preserve and ask for a 2-for-1 Twilight tea time.
Do you like that? Do you like that kind of style? Or what's your kind of view on it?
I always think that there's a place for it. So the thing is, like, what we really want and what we'd really like is that golf is going to be accessible. People can come play and, they can experience this game, get into it, and be a lifelong exponent of what a fantastic sport it can be to play. And the access is, absolutely key. However, there is a room and there is a definite place for courses like this, where there's a large amount of, it's almost like an invite-only membership. And when you come out here, you've got this pristine kind of place. There's a lot of tour pros who base themselves here because they have that ability to not be kind of like bothered on a driving range. They can just go out, they can work on the game, they can practice. It's a facility that you can come and just like completely switch off as well and just relax. And you wouldn't get that at a public course. So I think there's a place for it. It doesn't particularly kind of concern me either way.
Right.
And if you do get to play one of these places as well, then it becomes like a real treat.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well. They're all so busy. Like it's not like these private courses. I mean, obviously, like today is, closed and stuff like that. But like a lot of courses were busy. Like Jupiter was quite busy and PGA was busy. Like, don't know. It's just like.
Well, there is something over here that we do need to figure out. From a business standpoint, there's a lot of money over here. Where's it all coming from?
Yeah.
Like, where did he find it?
Yeah.
Maybe out in the Everglades somewhere. Is there a money tree out there? Just go pluck some low-hanging dollar.
Yeah. I don't know.
There's a lot of wealthy people out here, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. But where did they get all the money from?
Yeah.
Putting all their money on red, or
I reckon this is like this is America's version of like Cornwall. You know what I mean? Like everyone has kind of like a second. Everyone's got a London.
He's so country.
But do you know what I mean? Like, so you got like there's probably a lot of people in like New York. Take New York as like a London. You got your business people in there, and then they'll have a second home somewhere. And this has obviously got the weather. It's got the it's got the facilities and stuff like that. So they just think, all right, I'll have a second home in Florida. Like, what I mean?
Kieran, having cycled Cornwall, I can tell you that the landscape of that county in the UK bears such little resemblance to Florida. It is like comparing Devon to Mars. There is nothing similar about it. But the thing is, like, they call them snowbirds over here, don't they? So like people who live most of their kind of time in kind of northeast kind of United States, so New York State, all that kind of thing. And then as soon as the weather turns and they can't play golf over there, they come down to their homes in Florida at these clubs and then play, because it's just coming into golf season now. So it's just coming into golf season in Florida, basically from November through till like March is perfect.
Like perfect weather and everything.
Perfect
like,
weather, yeah. So like low 20 degrees Celsius, and do need to say Celsius because nobody deals in Celsius over here.
No.
It gets very confusing. We keep telling everyone, like a really good day in the UK is like 25.
And no one ever really knows that. Well, I'm maybe saying this from a personal standpoint, but like no one ever seems to know what the conversion is.
No.
When it always kind of like, oh, that's about 70, and you kind of go, yeah, that's about 70 Fahrenheit. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we all need to brush up on the conversion rates or something like that. I did see like a TikTok once that said that there's one temperature that is the same Fahrenheit that is Celsius. It's something like minus. It's in the minus.
Oh,
like a minus
like a baseline thing.
Yeah, it's like a minus 20 or something like that. 20 Celsius is the same. It's one of the two.
Right. Okay.
Something like that. But I saw that on a TikTok as like a random facts.
Yeah, I've absolutely no idea.
There you go. And whoever said TikTok wasn't good for you?
Yeah,
exactly.
All the learning you can do.
Let's educate our children on that thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, they probably are. To be fair.
Maybe.
I think the one thing, all in all, from this whole trip is just how many like good, or not even good, great videos we've got. Like the content that's going to be coming out from the start of November is definitely something that I'm not only excited to edit and get out, but also I'm excited for everyone to see and react to, and kind of get new people on the channel, but guys that have been requested for ages, and just people that I think have really sort of built up and created such a good following for themselves, and then with our following as well, and introducing the two together, and just like, well, just generally the videos I think are just going to be really, really good.
Well, we need to start doing a little bit more of this. So like we've traveled a lot this year. We've gone to a lot of very cool places, but a lot of those places, they've not been very kind of targeted in a way of, we wanted to come here, we wanted to come to Jupiter because we wanted to film with Grant, we wanted to film with Micah, we wanted to be around people who we could make really cool videos with.
The collabs,
Yeah, rather than kind of having a potential of going to some of the places that we've not gone to this year. So like Vietnam, for example, like a cracking place, cracking course, looks amazing. But in reality, we're going to get over there, and who we're going to film with? Like, it'd just be us. Like I'm sure we'd make a good video, or two. But we're actually filming with other people, other creators, other people in this golf space. It's more fun.
It's so good.
It opens up. It opens up so many more kind of opportunities for the videos we can do. So I think we're going to be a little bit more targeted.
Going into like next year.
Yeah, just make the most of our time away.
I like that. Yeah. I definitely think it's the way to go.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm really happy about as well? That we've finally introduced kart cam. Like I'm so excited for this.
Kart cam is coming to the Finch Golf channel.
Like the amount of like YouTube golf that I watch that have kart cam, and just like it's a different type of conversation in the kart cam. Like I think the Grant video that's just gone out recently. Grant talks about the fact that
he was in diapers until he was 16.
Yeah,
I don't know if we should bring that up again. But listen, I'm a convert. Okay, I was pretty much against it.
Yeah,
just because other people were kind of doing it. I didn't really understand the vibe of it too much. But no, I think it works. Yeah,
and this the thing is that obviously like for you guys as well, who are going to be doing the bulk of the editing, like. We don't know what conversations you've had in there. So
that's true.
So to kind of like hear what you've been talking about, like is might be quite interesting and cool to see. So very excited.
I'm sure I'm going to be wading through a lot of rubbish.
That's maybe something that we do need to bear in mind. Like it is going to add time onto that edit just to actually wade through that stuff. I mean,
the reason we hadn't been doing it in the first place is because we just walk when we're in the UK.
Well,
we just don't have carts. We don't
Yeah.
have buggies or carts as they are here.
Yeah, the carts. Yeah. We cart cam. We can't call it a buggy cam. It's cart cam.
Kart cam.
And also, to be fair as well, like the weather and the lack of wind. Has been some windy days, but when it's a bit quieter of a day, and it's easier to kind of use the GoPros for audio and all that kind of thing. Whereas if you're whisking it round Wallasey on a wet, windy day, it might be a little bit difficult, but we'll see. I think it's good. Like I say, it's a the viewer only sees you in a sense of a golfing landscape, I suppose, or at least your mindset is in a golfing sort of area. Whereas when you get into the car, as everyone will know when they're playing with their mates, like you talk about what you're doing at home or how's
100%.
work or a funny story you heard the other day, and I think that kind of side of it definitely comes through a lot better. So it's we're somewhat late to the party, but I'm glad we have got the invitation.
If we want to use CarCam more, then we're just gonna have to move here.
Well, you seem like the way you've been talking. I think that's happening, isn't it not?
Yeah. Or could we get a trailer and buy a buggy and put it onto the BMW, and like when we go up to a golf course, we rock in with the BMW, and on the back is a trailer and the buggy's on the back as well, so that we get the trailer, we get the buggy out of the trailer, and then we have our own individual buggy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say my reasons for wanting to move to Florida aren't solely based on the fact that you can ride a buggy. It's not like number one in my priority list. Maybe like an added extra there. No, I think just over it. It's just anytime you can like leave your house and it's going to be decent weather, and the course is going to be good, and you've got cool people to film with, and it's just a lovely vibe around here. And there's a reason. I mean, there's a reason that so many kind of like tour pros base themselves down here as well. Yeah. Because like during those winter months, it is just fantastic. I mean, here we were meant to be doing some stuff with Corey Connors today. I think Wacky Neiman, I think he's based here, and we're going to be talking about LIV and world ranking points very, very soon. Adam Long, I think he's here. There's players that just base themselves down here because it's a perfect place to be for golf.
Yeah.
We've spoken of like location as kind of somewhat everything at the minute on the golf landscape, or especially YouTube landscape, is that, like, as we said, you've got access to so many YouTubers, but then also, pros are starting to really come around to the concept of YouTube golf, it feels, and more are making appearances on channels. It's something that definitely I think will be steered into a lot more in the next year and a half, couple of years. I think sponsors will start to see the beauty of maybe putting them on a YouTube channel rather than spending an hour of their allocated time doing something like a clinic or that kind of thing. So the place to be is definitely in this area, or at least Arizona, which is another hotspot for golfers. Maybe we can just do the snowbird thing from Manchester and just do 6 months in Manchester and then come over here.
Yeah, and I'll go knock on the doors. Like, I know we know where they live now, so we'll knock on Brooks's door. Then we'll go down just next door, and then we'll knock on JT's. Then next door we'll walk on Tigers. You know what I mean? Like, we'll go through them all.
Send you around with some leaflets.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll do. Yeah, exactly. Some leaflets.
Do some canvassing.
Oh man, I love leaflets.
We should probably point out to everybody at home that Kieran's idea that they all live on a terraced street is not quite accurate.
Well, from what I understand, they do, don't they? Not like, it's obviously not like terrace, but like
I'm going to throw it out there and say you probably won't be able to walk up to their door and knock on.
Once you've scaled the 50-foot gate.
Yeah, 50-foot gate. Yeah. What we'll do is we'll get the leaflet, then we'll wrap it into a paper airplane, and then we'll just flow it.
No, there you go.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what we'll do.
That'll work.
I like that.
I'm sure that'll really get in their good books.
I like that.
Brooks clearing up 50 paper airplanes from his front yard.
Every day.
It's like the scene in Harry Potter where all the envelopes start coming through the letterbox.
Yeah.
Just imagine the title of that though. Like, I knock on Brooks's door until I don't know. I'm getting carried away, sorry.
I knock on Brooks's door until he shoots me. Great YouTube video. Great. I knock on Brooks's door until I get arrested for harassment and spend 6 months in a Florida jail.
It's content.
Oh yeah.
I don't think we'll be able to take our cameras in.
yeah, that's true.
Maybe a GoPro.
sneak a little camera in.
Easy to hide.
Funny.
So yeah, maybe that's a possibility. I think there's a big impediment of us not moving here though.
What's that?
It's probably a lack of about $3 million.
Well, I think couple of big vids will be all right.
I'm happy to go back to.
They have to be big vids.
I'm gonna have to be. I'll happily go back to Riviera Beach, like near the beach, and we've got our favourite beach that we go to. Like, I'm very happy to just stay there. It's a lovely area.
Okay, so I'm looking about $1 million then.
Nah,
no,
there'll be somewhere we could get. Not every house here is $1 million.
All the nice houses are $1 million.
Nah.
If you want to bear in mind, like if we wanted to do it, like we'd have to be somewhere that's almost like in a little golfing community.
Oh yeah.
So,
But we wouldn't be buying a house.
no, if you want to buy that house in that community,
Yeah.
like the nice ones, if I want to move to Florida,
Do you mean not on the resort things, like on a golf course?
yeah.
Oh, right.
I'm talking
blimmin'
like,
hell, right.
if I want to be living and playing at the Bears Club,
Right.
that's it's a swift kind of $5 million that's going to disappear from my bank account to buy a house there and to like be a member there.
Oh, wow. That's an investment.
You've probably named the number one most expensive club in Florida.
The Bears Club.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is that if you were going to move to Florida and you were going to do the whole golf thing, you'd want to do the whole golf thing.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think I could find you one under $1 million somewhere.
I reckon there's like they don't really have canals here.
999,000.
Yeah, 999.
I don't reckon they don't really have canals here, but I reckon there's a boathouse somewhere that probably someone's renting a couple of rooms.
Why on earth would you want to live on a houseboat in Florida?
I'd love that.
What? How would that be a good idea? Imagine waking up in the morning, you open the door, and there's just like a 20-foot gator there, just staring at you, not eating all night. You manage to kick him off. You're like, oh, what's that banging into the side of the boat? Oh, it's a 40-foot boa constrictor down there. Oh, fantastic. Well, at least it's off the boat. Hopefully it won't come up. You turn round. Oh, no. There's a massive spider there waiting for you, which is just eating a scorpion. I don't know what
I see that as two things. I see that, one, as content, and two, I see it as character building. So... So you know what I mean? Like,
it's always interesting. Like, if someone goes through like a really rough experience, how it's always somebody else that says it's character building. They never seem to have gone through it.
They didn't do it.
But it's character
you came out
building.
the other side, didn't you?
Yeah.
Learning experience.
Yeah. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
What I learned is
Apart from
not
if you
to
get
do it again.
Yeah. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, unless you get really hurt by it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Learning experience.
Anyway.
No, you let me know what you need. 3-bed pool.
Not a houseboat.
No, not a houseboat. I know that.
Houseboat.
I think I've made that abundantly clear.
I'll do a little. What's a property program I can do?
Selling Sunset.
Yeah, there you go.
Like in those.
It's like Escape to the Country.
Yeah,
Oh
but
my-
Escape to.
Yeah, it's like it's selling Sunset, which is selling Tampa. You know what I mean?
Those are the mega ones.
Yeah,
aren't they?
but I'll happily go on one of those.
There you
one
go.
of those shows. Have you ever seen that on Netflix?
It's horrendous.
No, Carly likes that. Doesn't
It's
she?
horrendous.
It's so.
They are the types of shows that you watch and you can feel your brain like just slowly dying, like just brain cells just like melting a little bit, just dribbling out your nose, and be like, "What is this crap?" It's like it's a made in Chelsea kind of vibe,
Oh,
isn't
yeah.
it?
Oh,
It's
I used to love that.
It's just fake reality. Oh, you like Love Island, don't you? It's Love Island. It's just fake reality.
Yeah, but I don't just love it. I like the properties that they sell as well. Like, it's not, they do sell some pretty cool properties on the Hollywood Hills sort of thing. You know what I mean?
I don't watch it, mate. So and don't pretend like you don't know. Come on, where did they sell them? It's all right, you can talk to us.
It's holiday. It's Hollywood Hills. Pretty much.
Okay, right. Okay, so no houseboats.
Okay.
And absolutely no going anywhere near any show which involves that kind of crap.
See, I think we'd be quite good on that. It would be like, Pete and his team are looking for a property in Florida.
Exactly.
Their budget is how much ad revenue they made this month.
Well, in October, it ain't a lot.
And then it'll be at the end, and it will just be like, Pete and his team decided against moving to Florida because they don't have enough money.
No. Well, if we're using October, then that
Because
might be
Kieran
that might
didn't
be a
get his
houseboat. Yeah. And it won't be a houseboat. It might be half a boat.
Pete, Jacob, and Mick found a house, but Kieran has moved on to the houseboat.
We might get a dinghy,
Yeah.
like a rubber ring.
If we get a pool outside, we could put a little boat for you to paddle around in.
I don't mind sleeping outside.
There
That's
you go.
cool.
Pool house.
What's different is that, like, I know we've probably been on this subject a bit too long, but like, I was very interested to sort of see the nets around everyone's house.
That's stopping the big boys coming
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, so like,
You want to be sleeping outside?
yeah, I was saying to Jacob, like, that if I ever was ever in a position where I could get one, I would not have a net round the house. That is just not that. Yeah, no, don't like it.
You know the reason they have nets around the houses?
What? Yeah, but
Mate, you've seen the wildlife over here.
yeah,
What happened? Do you remember at the Cape called Palm City when it was raining?
yeah.
And we just went into the relative peace and calm of the buggy, and there was no wind there and no rain. What happened? We got swarmed by
Yeah.
midges.
We did get swarmed.
I got crucified that day. That was
yeah.
the worst 20 minutes of the trip for me.
So I reckon Kieran, with all his high and mighty ideals, I reckon they'd give him 4 days
Yeah.
before he's calling the contractor. I want the biggest net in the world around my house. All of it.
And around the eighth hole that I'm outside.
Encase me in it. Annika, when I went to Lake Nona, Annika Sorensen's house, like, she's got a massive, she lives on a lake, but she's got this massive, like, pool and outdoor area at the back of her house. And she's literally got this, like, 3-story net building over it as well. Honestly, it's
Love it.
wild. It's absolutely wild. Anyway, talking about Annika Sorensen and pro golfers, we agreed kind of prior to this to talk about to talk about LIV and the world ranking points. It's been a bit of an ongoing saga, this.
Yeah.
So the situation is pretty simple. The world ranking points, the official world golf ranking, which is a metric to measure who the best players are in the world. Currently, we shall read you out the top 10. You got Scotty, Rory, Rahm, Hovland, Cantley, Schauffele, Fitzpatrick at 7. Max Homer, Brian Harman, and Wyndham Clark make up the top 10. Now, the way that they get those points is by playing in events with strong fields. The higher you finish, the more points you get. The more points you get, the higher up the rankings you go. Pretty simple. And that is, you can get world ranking points from a lot of different tours. Like the most kind of obvious ones are going to be PGA and DP World.
Yep.
Formerly European Tour. And that's where you pick up your points. I got world ranking points for playing in the now defunct PGA Euro Pro Tour.
You always mention that. I love that.
Well, why not?
Yeah. No, I love it. I love
Why not? I officially don't have a world ranking now. My
that's a shame.
my world ranking has lapsed.
it. When did you lose that?
I don't know. We had a look at it in Spain when we were with Fred, because I wanted to see if I was higher ranked than him.
Has he got? He's got a world ranking.
Yeah.
What's his world?
No, he's the same. He's lapsed.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. So we're both lapsed.
Oh wow.
But he was slightly higher than me by about 50 places.
His highest position was high, was it?
Yeah, just high.
Okay.
It was very annoying. So you can gain these points via these events. Now, the standard of getting these points has been set for quite a bit of time.
Yeah.
So it has to be an event with a cut, and it has to be an event where to qualify, there's a metric where people can drop out and move into those events. So on the PGA Tour, you get your card at the end of the year if you've got enough money and all the rest of it, and you can qualify for the tour via the Corn Ferry Tour, via the DP World Tour. Players drop off, players enter, you can get sponsors exemptions. There's a movement of players. Now, when LIV started, a lot of very, very good golfers went to play in that tour. It's a 54-hole event. There's no cut, and the fields are set for a full season. Now, you can have a dropout if someone gets injured, for example, and there is a way that people can qualify via the World Series, I think they call it. But the movement is small. And there's a few players. You've got your Brooks, your Phil, your Lee Westwood, for example. They're signed up to contracts which say it doesn't matter if they play poorly, they are guaranteed spots in the field. So after that brief explanation, there's a few more kind of things to go in it. But here's the situation. LIV said to the official World Golf Rankings, we have these amazing players. We think that they should get world ranking points for playing in the LIV events. Now, this has been ongoing for months and months and months and months. It matters because the good golfers who are on LIV, at this moment in time, they won't get automatic entry into some of the events like majors because their world ranking is slipping lower. Probably the standout example of this is going to be like a Taylor Gooch, for example, who I think everybody, no matter your opinion on LIV, whether you like it or not, has played some really good golf this year. And yet he's not going to automatically qualify for the majors because his world ranking is too low when really he should be playing. So this is the argument. And now the official World Golf Rankings have turned around and said, no, you will not get any qualifying points for playing in LIV events. And obviously there's been fallout and there's been opinions on both sides. Now, gentlemen, do you have any particular feelings on this while I pull up some sizzly quotes?
Yeah. And to be honest with you, it's pretty black and white for me. I don't really understand where they feel they can come from in regards to trying to get the points. It's been laid down as law for however many years. There's over 100 different tours that are abiding by this, and that I don't like the fact that there should be some kind of special royalty because they've got a really, really good bunch of players. The AP McManus Pro-Am Invitational has probably better fields than the PGA Tour and stuff, but you don't expect them to be like, oh, well, when we're playing this, can we get our official golf world rankings as well? Yeah. It really, I don't understand. It's such a kind of, I hate this like holier than thou kind of like we just deserve everything to be handed to us. It's not, it doesn't work like that. It's not lined up with how everything else has been done. And I don't like the fact that it's just a kind of, oh, well, we've got a great field, so they deserve to get the points. Now, on the flip side of that, there's a lot of players that, obviously, if they don't get their world rankings, as you say, Taylor Gooch is a guy that probably is going to start to slip and he might not see himself playing in majors. Well, you've got some of the players over there who have won majors and they have got their special exemptions and stuff. So there's a couple of guys, and I think Cam Smith came out and said that the official golf world rankings are kind of just redundant now. It's not really necessarily a thing. But he's coming from a position where he's an open champion and he can go and play in it still because he's got that exemption. Whether if he was not in that position, and I think we spoke about it before, where his decision to go to LIV was kind of stirring around in that year he won the Open in St Andrews. And the decision for him to go was probably made easier after the fact that then he went and won and he knew that he had that sort of... that full net behind him that he would always be able to get in eventually.
That's why he went.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So to be honest with you, yeah, I really don't understand the backlash from it or for any of it. I understand why they're upset because they would have wanted it to happen, but it's not for the official Golf World Rankings job to try and fit into them. They have to fit into the official Golf World Rankings, as have all these other tours.
I think that's probably. I think you've nailed it pretty much. I think the thing for me is that I've always been a fan of just competitive golf, and the PGA Tour is literally for me the epitome of like competitive professional golf. Of like, you have to. Obviously, you know when you get there, you're there, but then it's not like you're there for a lifetime. Like you have to keep playing well, and you have to keep doing this. Whereas like. Like you said, like a Brooks, a Phil, a lot of them will be on these contracts. So it doesn't. I mean, the best example is Pat Perez last year, who played horrific golf, literally the most horrific golf that he's ever played, and probably any PGA Pro has ever played in his life, and still got $9 million for it. It's like that's not right, because there's people that are working their arse off to try and stay on the PGA Tour to keep their card and go in tournament to tournament and go in from cut to cut or miscut to miscut, trying to get that one breakthrough. So yeah, there's if LIV was to get any sort of official world golf rankings, then it just becomes that little bit more credible in terms of it's an official tour event. It's an official way to become the best player in the world. And I don't think that's right.
So just read some quotes here. So this is the official World Golf Ranking Board. Now this is from Peter Dawson, who's a non-voting chairman of the board. And it has to be said that the commissioners of PGA and DP World Tour, they recused themselves from this vote, so they wouldn't be kind of like in conflict with the LIV Tour. But Peter Dawson said that the OWGR is not at war with LIV, nor is its decision rooted in golf politics. Dawson said it is entirely technical. LIV players are self-evidently good enough to be ranked. They're just not playing in a format where they can be ranked equitably with the other 24 tours and thousands of players trying to compete with them. Simply put, the board committee does not believe it's equitable to thousands of players who strive every day to get starts in official World Golf Ranking eligible tournaments to have a tour operate in this mostly closed fashion, where it's not possible to fairly assess what it means to win a LIV event relative to other tournaments around the world. Now, I'm going to play, I'll read some kind of quotes from LIV players shortly, but I'm going to play like slightly devil's advocate here. Is it a case that what this is saying is if you start a new golf tour, you then have to fall in line with what the official World Golf Rankings say is the way to measure performance? Now, LIV obviously haven't done that, but that would kind of suggest potentially that the official World Golf Rankings are a little bit of a closed shop. You know, you have to play by their rules and what they think is the way that golfers should be ranked, which, you know, I probably do agree with overall. But it has to be said that there is something that maybe should be done, because it does seem quite strange that you've got, you know, a lot of very, very good golfers playing in these events, LIV events, against other really good golfers, and then not getting any kind of points for it.
Yeah, I think that is a very, very good point, but I think it's just the way of the fact that 2 years ago, LIV was nothing. So it's the fact that they've bulldozed their way in and pumped money in to this tour, which has obviously got it up to the strength it is by, you know, getting some of the best players in the world there. And yeah, I kind of think that was kind of, I don't know what their thought process was, but that was kind of, I imagine that would have been their thought process of the fact that, all right, now we've got some of the best players in the world playing on our tour. We're just officially, we're going to expect that the official World Golf Rankings are just going to be like, oh yeah, of course, give them some maybe that's what they thought. Do you know what I mean?
There's a definite sense of kind of like arrogance about it.
Definitely, that's the word. That's the word I'm looking for.
That we've started this tour, and then we should expect.
Yeah.
We should expect people to then give us ranking points, even though it doesn't fit into that criteria. But I think Peter Dawson does have a point. He does go on to say that there's players who are playing on that tour that should be in the world rankings, and
for sure,
there is something that probably needs to be done. The reason that this matters in a wider context is I'm going to use Taylor Gooch as an example again. So if you want to get in a major, it's normally the top 40 to 50 players in the world, I think it is, will automatically get an invite and automatically qualify for the major championships. So let's face it, the events that everyone actually cares about, the four majors. That's what every player wants to play in, and generally that's what people want to watch. Now, if you have a certain standard of player who provides good competition, but also to the people watching and the fans, which make any sport what it is, if they're not playing in those events, then they're being deprived of potentially watching some of the best golf in the world. So you've got a kind of system here where you've got some of the best players not playing in the best events because they're not being given these points. That's what the issue is.
Yeah, no, like you say, the way you sort of lie it out there, it makes complete sense. But again, I'll be honest, I don't really have any sympathy for these guys, because the way that the sort of, when it came to players moving to LIV and making the decision of whether they want to go or not, essentially, in my eyes, it kind of represented that player's thought process of what they want their career to be. Do they want to make a ton of money from it, or do they want a legacy in the game? And they had a decision to make. And those who stayed on the PGA Tour, who probably turned down the money that was the same as the Dustin Johnson contracts and the Brooks Koepka contracts, they wanted to stay because they knew it was the best time and the best place for them to be, to play in majors and play in Ryder Cups and build a portfolio of wins and build themselves in some of the best players in the world. These guys that went to LIV, they weren't forced to go. They had a decision. I understand why they took the money, because it's a hell of a lot of money. It would be hard for anyone to turn that down. But they made a decision at that point, I feel, is do you want money or do you want a legacy? And I feel like that's what they've decided, is what they want is money.
Yeah. I think there's a few of the players who are... I'm going to say they gamed the system, but they knew what they were doing. Like, obviously, Brooks won a major last year. So he's automatically going to be in the other majors for this year and beyond.
Yeah,
So for him, this doesn't matter.
Yeah, and that's kind of like all he openly says that's all he cares about is the majors, and that's all he wants. So for him, it's
he got the best deal out of this possible, because even before heading into it, he knew he would play majors. He already was a 4-time major winner, then won his 5th whilst on the LIV Tour. And now he, like you say, continues to be able to play in them and keeps earning the money he can. Yeah,
I think players like Brooks, obviously Cam Smith, we just spoken about as well. These types of golfers, they're not going to be too concerned, even if they say they are, because they're going to be in these events that they want to play in, and then play and live for the rest of the time. Yeah,
I don't know what the only person that I'm I don't know what to say, like upset or like I'd be disappointed to see him not there is DJ for me, and I don't know if I'm right in saying that obviously he's going to be playing the Masters for however long he wants to. I don't know about the others. I don't know what his situation is with the rest of them.
So normally if you win a major, you'll get a certain number of invites to subsequent majors.
Right.
I think the Open, I know you get I think it's a 10-year exemption into the Open. Right. If you win the Open. Masters, obviously, you can be there for life.
As long as you want,
forever,
and then PGA Championship and US Open, there's qualifying criteria around that as well if you win other majors.
Yeah.
And you'd expect players of that quality, they would be able to then... because like the US Open, I think it's if you finish like top 12, top 15, you'll get an automatic invite into the next one as well. So, you do have the chance to continue to play in these events. I don't see why it wouldn't. There are players, such as Phil Mickelson, who won the PGA Championship 2 years ago.
Yep.
So he's going to have a few more kind of invites as well, qualifications. He waded in on this, as you may expect, Phil Mickelson to do. Trevor Immelman just did a post, and he said, if I was going to start a pro golf tour, talking about kind of the whole situation, and I decided I wanted my tour to have world ranking points available for the players, I'd probably at the outset make sure that my tour did whatever the world ranking organisation required in order to comply. Phil Mickelson replied.
Which is fair.
Yeah, which is fair. I just want to say that's fair, but also that takes into account, and we'll get onto this in a minute, about if the official World Golf Rankings, before any of this even kicked off, were actually fit for purpose, if they gave an accurate representation. Yeah. But Phil Mickelson wades in and says, Trevor, LIV was never going to get points. Why? ? Number one, it's a monopoly run by all the governing bodies. He does go full tin hat a little bit. Mm-hmm. The PGA Tour TV contract is based on official World Golf criteria for them to get all their money. And then 3, they would lose leverage in negotiations if LIV gets points. Last but not least, the Tour has some... What's he said?
Was that Phil that said that?
Yeah, good, yeah. Last but not least, the Tour has borrowed against the TV deal. If they don't hit their benchmarks and don't get all their money from the TV, they will have an immediate capital call laughing face emoji. Don't believe me? Ask Sean McManus.
Get Sean on the phone.
Get Sean. And then this is the one that got me. That was a little bit weird.
What's this over? Is this over Twitter?
Yeah,
on
X.
X. Oh, I'm calling it Twitter.
I know.
So he goes on for a little bit. Samuel El Toro, and this is kind of how kind of easily. Phil seems to be triggered on this. Samuel, whose handle is at El Toro 41277, says, "Stop whining."
Not great.
To Phil Mickelson. Standard X response, Twitter response. Phil Mickelson, "Stating facts isn't whining, and I don't care if Liv ever gets points." Doesn't seem like it. "This is move 6 in a long game of chess. You won't believe moves 32 to 37. That's when it gets really good." Emoji with sunglasses.
What?
Is this Phil?
Yeah, he seems to have gone off the deep end a little bit
Move
here.
32 to 37.
I mean, in all fairness to Phil Mickelson, even though I don't agree with a lot of stuff that he says, I'm not a massive fan, but he's been pretty consistent about the World Golf Rankings not being an accurate representation of who the best players in the world are generally, and I think he does have a point at times. Like, it seems weird how some players can stay higher in the rankings for longer without seemingly having, recent good performances, because it is like a tapered kind of process. So there is a potential that they could be reconfigured a little bit to be a more accurate representation of how people are playing at that moment in time. And it's strange because, like, the official World Golf Ranking does get its kind of mandate and its credibility from the tours that have already been established, because they say to the World Golf Ranking, okay, that's how you want it, cool, we'll support that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think in my head how else you could do it. I don't know. Could it be very opinion? You could turn it into sort of opinion, because these are all statistical things. You could turn it into an opinion-based, non-biasy way. I don't know, but I'm just trying to think of a way you could do it. Because, I'm asking myself the question now. I think is Scotty Scheffler's world number one, isn't he? Mm-hmm. Is he currently? Do you feel he's the best golfer in the world right now?
No.
Who do you think is?
I'd say Victor. Probably.
Yeah, I'd probably say.
But I think that's kind of the beauty of golf, and we saw that the last year and a half with Rahm, with Rory, with Victor coming into it now, and Scotty. That it was like chopping and changing all the time. Yeah. That's maybe some people think it's a good thing, maybe some people think it's a bad thing. I think that we're in a really good, positive space in golf at the minute, where there's so many good players at the top of the game that everyone can be classed as the number one player in the world. Like, Brooks, when he goes to the majors, plays like the number one player in the world. And, Cameron Smith plays like the number one player in the world. And there's not to say that they're not doing that on the LIV Tour. Like, they can play to that standard. There's no doubt about that. I don't really know what Phil Mickelson's kind of getting at with the Golf World Rankings is a monopoly, because that's kind of the point. That it is meant to be the monopoly that overlooks kind of everything to do with rankings, unless there was an other company, or if he's kind of talking. Maybe I'm not quite understanding what he's saying there, but that it was a bit of a weird point to make. But it just all comes back to the fact that, for me, if you do it for one, where does it then end moving forward? Because then you get to a point where if you change the goalpost for one tour and you decide, okay, well, we're going to bring you in, and the reason why is we're going to say you don't have to have a cut, and or maybe they say, oh, the cut is fine, but then you also just need to now bring in, there's a bit more of a filter through of players. And if LIV turn around and say, oh, okay, right, well, we can do that, we'll sort of open up more of a feeder tour, we'll allow players to come and dip in and dip out. And I think if LIV were a bit more accommodating in that sense, they probably would have had a better chance if they kind of turned around and said one of the things and said, okay, well, we'll make a cut on day 2, and then the final day will be the top 20 or something like that, just to kind of have some criteria met. But because the fact they just don't want to go anywhere near it, and this is kind of the thing that LIV was produced on, is they wanted to create a completely different product to what the PGA Tour was doing. So for them to kind of slide back into that product and that adventure that they would go down into looking more like the PGA Tour is something they don't want to do. So I can understand why they haven't done it. So it's kind of two sides that don't want to budge because they've got their own kind of way of going about things, and LIV are obviously going to be very stubborn in the fact that no, this is the way we're going to do things now. And moving forward, as you say, it kind of, I don't see where we go from here, because unless one or the other decides to do something about it, then it's just going to be in the same position 5 years from now.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really see how they're gonna change and adapt. They've already set their stall out about how they want to operate. The other thing which is kind of in the background of this is the ongoing kind of potential merger between like LIV, PGA Tour, merger, not merger, and the DP World Tour. We don't really know what's happening there, and by the looks of it, it might not actually come to fruition, which is going to leave everybody in a really weird spot.
Yeah.
Like, did the PGA Tour go back to kind of really hating on LIV again, and what's going on? Because there's definitely been a silencing of that in recent months since this kind of deal's been mooted. So it'd be interested to see kind of what goes on. I think the likelihood of them getting world ranking points was always pretty low, and I really don't see how like they're going to get ranking points now unless they introduce something like a cut, like qualification, that will make them a little bit more amenable. Because I don't think the actual amount of holes matters.
No, it just has to have the cut.
It's just going to have that element of competition.
Because Europro, you know, the tour that you were on, famously on.
Yeah, famously. Yeah.
That was 54 holes.
54 holes with a 36-hole cut.
36-hole cut, so yeah.
Like, again, I don't know the fine print of the contracts that maybe the guys have signed, if there's anything to say that they have to compete in all 3 days or something like that, but...
No, I think
it seems like the easy fix, but then why would they do the easy thing?
They just don't want to change.
No.
They don't want to do any sort of change, because they're like, this is us.
Yeah.
We're a 54-hole no cut. That's kind of was their marketing, really, wasn't it? So it's like, I think the best word to use, and you used it, is just that they're just so arrogant, and they're not moving.
I mean, arrogance isn't. It's a strong word, but I think there's a little bit of truth in it. But also, with LIV, the reason they didn't want to cut is that they didn't want to get into a position where on the final day, Dustin, Bryson, Sergio, the players who will generally draw a crowd wouldn't play. They want to make sure that their product is still as watchable on day one as it is on day three.
Yeah.
That's the reason that they didn't want to cut. But that's the reason that it's not seen as competitive compared to the others.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I always like a cut. Like, I always like that. Obviously, I never forget when I think we went to like a BMW at Wentworth, I think it was, and I think Rory missed the cut, and we had Saturday tickets, and I was gutted about it. It was someone that big, but that's true competition golf. It's just, that is, if you want to be the best player in the world, you got to do that sort of stuff. So it's like, yeah,
and you kind of alluded to it earlier as well, Pete, that there is still an open discussion and debate over actually how valid and what is the validity of the official Golf World Rankings. Do they genuinely do a very good job of identifying that? And maybe that's a conversation for another day, because you could go on for another hour with that. But the when you've got that kind of sort of narrative, and then you've got this won't they include them in the world rankings in regards to LIV, there's a lot of murky waters out there, and it's never a good place to be. You kind of want clarity with these types of things. And I think at the end of the day, I think the beauty again with golf is that there are so many good golfers out there, and that whether the world rankings say Scotty's number one, we can both sit and argue or at least have a conversation about who we think is the best player. And it's something that you can debate about and sit around the table and talk about. And you can, if people love LIV golf and watch Bryson shooting 58s and stuff, and they can say, well, he shot that the other week, so why is he not? It's a conversation that you can have, and whether you want to really take off the Golf World Ranking is another thing. But unfortunately, in this day of age of golf, if they want to play in majors and they want to play in the big events, then they've got to be a part of it, and they're not going to be.
Well, as always, the most important opinion of this is yours. So get down to those comments if you watch on YouTube and fire into Discord and have a little chat on there. I think as far as the rest of the world of golf, there's not a massive amount happening that we know of right now. I mean, we're recording this before the weekend. I know there's like golf in Spain going on, the Shriners and things. So congratulations to whoever's won. I think John Rahm's playing in Spain.
Oh, is he?
Congratulations, John.
John is playing. He's defending.
Another victory in Spain. Well done. Absolutely delighted for you.
What course is it?
Spain.
Spain.
It's a Spain course.
It's Spain.
I honestly don't know. I've been so out of the loop this week. I've no idea what's going on.
We've got
professional golf.
Lexi's teeing it up at the Shriners as well.
She is, yeah. So
be interesting to see if she makes the cut.
I think she was top 30 in ball striking, I think, stats wise in the event. Okay. So it'd be great if she did make the cut. I'll have to check that out.
It's another discussion we could have for another day, but I won't get into it.
We'll see how she gets on.
Well, there's opinion on the web that maybe she shouldn't be there. You know, she's obviously taking the place of another tour pro that could be there, but that's not my opinion. I'm not saying that's mine. I'm just saying that is a discussion to be had.
Well, she's gonna get more world ranking points this week than anyone played in Jeddah in LIV Tour.
I think. I think the other thing that's just kind of reminded me that obviously of George Bryan, because George Bryan is now going to.
Oh yeah, he's sponsors invite,
which is pretty cool. That.
Yeah. So he's going to be playing in Bermuda Championship. That's in a few weeks though.
Yeah.
Like, they're going over there this week to do a bit of filming.
Yeah.
And then they're kind of like back a few weeks after that for the event. So.
Cool though, that, isn't it?
It is awesome, yeah.
It's very cool.
I think we'll do a full podcast review on that.
Do you reckon?
Hole by hole breakdown.
You think of when you were doing like open qualifying or even some of like the PGA Tour, like Lancashire events, and like the stress and worry about like not shooting a good score on that and then it going on YouTube. And then the fact you think what George is going to be going through of like everyone is going to be looking to see how he does.
Yeah.
There's a huge difference though. Like George is actually a good golfer.
No. I know.
That's a big.
I know,
big
but
difference.
if he finished, I'm sure he won't. But if he finished like dead last and like 3 shots off the next person and stuff like that, then obviously there's gonna be a pressure to it.
Oh yeah, of course there is. Yeah, I mean it's going to be the biggest tournament that he's going to have played in. Like, especially because that's been like a dream of his for a long, long time.
Yeah.
I don't think we should get into this right now because I think this is something else we should talk about on the podcast.
Yeah, great. But good, yeah. It's just cool to say. Like, it's cool that he's gonna be there. It's cool for the YouTube space and stuff like that.
Good luck to George.
Yeah. Good luck. Good for the YouTube golf community.
And Grant's been hyping him up a little bit. So I'm very excited.
Right.
Sorry.
Cool. Right, so guys, just want to say a huge thank you for watching, a huge thank you for wrapping your ears around this podcast. Thank you for the Dye Preserve for letting us have this podcast done in the Dye Room. I am dying to play this golf course, but unfortunately we will not be able to.
You're gutted, aren't you?
I am a bit gutted.
You are gutted.
That's a bit of a shame. But I'm sure we will be back and we will see this marvellous course once upon a time. Anyway, right guys, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, follow us on your favourite podcast provider, and hop over and follow us on our social media as well. Why not? The Rough Cut Golf Podcast. We are absolutely everywhere. Everywhere.
Apart from award shows, but one day.
You never know. Right guys, see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.